Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the Fractional DevRel podcast, where we attempt to cover a variety of material to help you create better content, run better events, and improve your business so that you can be more successful as a Fractional DevRel specialist. Today's episode is sponsored by Moss.dev, and I am your host, Jason Koo, and today my very special guest is Abhimanyu Selvan. He is the former head developer of advocacy at DigitalOcean. And today he will enlighten us on how to best design and prepare to give enterprise-grade demos. Abhi, welcome to the show. Thank you so much. Can you tell us about yourself and how you came into freelancing?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Thanks for that intro. And super thrilled to be your first guest on your new initiative of Fractional DevRel in this series. Really looking forward to how you take it and learning from other DevRel folks across the globe. I'm Abhimanyu Selvan. You can call me Abhi. And currently, I'm a AI systems engineer freelancer under diabe.com. That's like the company. I've been helping some of my clients build help with engineering work and production-grade enterprise demos. And prior to this, I was heading the developer advocacy team at DigitalOcean. And then I decided, particularly in this whole AI era and with all these coding agents, it got my software engineering fire back in me. And I wanted to take a step back and pursue some independent, like freelance gigs that I could help customers directly with GTM, with engineering. So, that's a long story short, but I'm sure we're going to have a chat about it along this session. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. No, thank you for that. So, okay, since we're focusing on like enterprise grade demos, can you define for us like what the difference is between an enterprise grade demo versus, say, a getting started demo?
Yeah, I think first we need to like step back and think about why do we need a demo, right? So the two aspects of it, right? First, the why aspect. So demo is something where you want to do a product showcase. You want to show the world what your product is capable of. It can be a simple hello world application, or it can be an enterprise grade demo. But the core aspect is product showcase, right? You want to show how your product integrates into some real world application and how people can make use of it. The main goal here is to inspire them that this is possible with our product, right? The key difference, I think, in a demo as opposed to like an enterprise grade demo is how do you approach the problem and who's kind of like your end audience. So let's take a normal demo, for example. So that can reside pretty much in your docs. You can have these coding agents pointed to that. It can have some code snippets there where you can pull that information and let the agents build. And that's great. That's great for getting started. And that's good for example, like in hackathons where you want to have these endpoints for your developers, or you're going to an event and people want to try out your product, and it's a good entry level discovery where they can, test and build and test something. When it comes to this enterprise grade, it's about who's your target audience. In this case, it's going to be how can we help our clients or the product here, right, with sales conversations and helping them get those enterprise deals. So let's say, for example, Moss, for example, here, right? Like, how do we help Moss, which is a semantic search runtime tool, but then how can we build a demo that will enable the sales team at Moss to take this demo to a potential client of theirs and show them, hey, this is how our product fits into your existing workflow. And this is what we've considered. These are like the best practices security best practices that we've considered. So that your enterprise end client can instantly relate to it. And then, okay, these folks have put in the thought. They've understood kind of like our workflow, and they've built a showcase that shows it's pretty much closer to what they do. And then the person who's making that decision to buy the product or, try that product on an enterprise level, it's that building that trust and hitting them where they are and supporting them where they are. In DevRel, I think we call them like the developer decision-making unit. It's like who has the budget to make that decision to whether or not we want to go with that product. And it's about how do we build a demo to address that particular need. So that's kind of like a thinking, and the implementation is different. It's different, and we can talk about that in the demo that we're going to see. But the thought process is what I would emphasize on is, one, who is it for? Is it going to help them make a sales conversion? Is it going to build that trust that if someone shows this demo and then people are instantly able to relate to it, and they'll be like, okay, that's something that I want in my, that's something that we want to use. So it's a thinking way, I would say.
Nice. Yes. Thank you. Great tips to be mindful of. Okay, so I know you're going to show us a demo in a moment here. Do you want to talk specifically about this demo and what value of MOSes it demonstrates?
Yeah, so I think we're now in a world where building and executing, like execution of code is very cheap in the sense that you point your agents, your coding tools, it's building. And then we are slowly moving towards the seamless interface of voice AI, right? Like where you don't want to type anymore. You just want to have a conversation with it. You want to build these voice AI agents that are going to do and execute these things on your behalf. If you think about it, the delay, or like what is the deal breaker for building these voice agents at an enterprise level? It's not necessarily the model per se, because these models are really capable now to do the perfect transcription, speech to text, text to voice, and all that. But the issue is there in the retrieval. Like how quickly and reliably can you retrieve a particular information and surface that with less delay, right? There is going to be delay, obviously, but the retrieval, how can you shorten the time to retrieve relevant information? And that's where I think MOS comes into the picture. MOS is a YC-backed startup in the semantic search runtime. So basically, it acts as this value-added layer between your voice agents and your data, and then it's able to quickly retrieve this information locally, pretty much can run on edge devices. So I've integrated MOS as this semantic search runtime layer between our voice agent and our data, and we're going to see how it's going to respond to it. And there's also a whole enterprise angle to this demo, which I'm going to talk to you about as well. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Do you want to jump in? You want to do the demo now?
Yeah. I'm sure you're going to share the links with the folks, with the repository links and the links where they can try out, right? Yes. On a surface level, it's going to be a voice agent with a web interface where you can talk to it. And what we've done is we've built this corpus around, we've created a fake spend management company, and then we've actually built this whole corpus around customer research data, user interview.
So for folks who don't know what spend management is, can you tell us just real briefly what that is and what space that helps with?
Well, it's basically, let's say you're working in a company and you have a company credit card, and you're booking your flights and you're traveling and you're expensing those reports. It's basically an enterprise software for that, like Ramp or a couple of these other tools that are out there. So we kind of like replicated, we didn't build this software, right? We just created like a mock data of what are the issues that people would face. Like, is the mobile app working properly or not, and things like that, and sitting on with like customer calls and recording all this particular information. And we built this corpus where your user research team or your product managers of a company let's say this company, Outlay, for example, that's the imaginary name that we've given, is they want to understand more about the product and what users are complaining about, what do they want, what particular feature are they looking for, what was missing. So how do we set up the backend such that people can just drop in their customer calls transcripts into a Slack channel, and how can that be easily synchronized with a single indexing here, and then how can we just query this information so that it's always up to date and you have all the information that your team needs to build. So it's an imaginary product just for the sake of the demo, but there are going to be two angles to it. One is the web interface angle, which is the voice agent where you can chat with, and there's also going to be this backend interface like Slack. So in enterprises, right, like you pretty much are using some sort of a communication channel tool like Slack, where you have a channel, and then you're basically, you can query this chatbot, the Slack bot, which is powered internally by Moz and also OpenClaw. So we're going to see all that, and we're going to just drop in some new information when you're going to see how OpenClaw, powered by Moz, is also going to index this information and keep everything up to date. So that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
So
great.
I'm going to,
Yeah. So the mock data, is it all one file type, or is it kind of like what you would see kind of like in the real world where it's kind of mixed, right? You have some PDFs, you have some JSON files.
in this case, yeah, we're like having a single file type, but you, for everything that you build, right, like you need to, so this is also the difference between a normal demo and thinking about like an enterprise grade demo, right? In a normal demo or in a demo where you want to show the world how this works, you can easily drop in the contents of a file or things like that. But in a real case, you want to be able to drop like a PDF or a markdown or point it to a Google Doc. Again, everything also requires time and effort and configuration. So in this case, since it's an OpenClaw extension that we built using Moz, I need to make sure that we have a PDF converter. So you drop in the file and it's able to read that file and, extract that PDF contents and do all that. So it's work. In this case, I'm just gonna open my phone. Doing a voice demo while recording is a tricky thing. So let's see. I'm sure Jason's gonna drop the link to this voice app that we built. It's mosaic.vercel.app. But here you go. I don't know if you see it. And I'm going to speak to it. So I'm going to give allow so that I give permission. Hi.
Hello there. What can I help you find in the research today?
What are the users complaining about?
I'm seeing a few recurring complaints across the research. Users are finding Outlay complex and difficult to use, particularly with creating budgets and setting up workflows, which came up in 3 studies. The manual entry of receipts is also cumbersome, noted in 2 studies. Additionally, some users feel the interface is cluttered and expense categorization is confusing.
Are they complaining about the mobile app?
Yes, the mobile app is a source of complaints. David in S202 mentioned it's not optimized for smaller screens, is slow, crashes, and feels like an afterthought compared to the web version, especially for reporting and approvals. Emily in S301 also reported that the mobile app's receipt scanning feature is unreliable.
Did they say anything positive about the application?
Based on the information I have, the provided excerpts focus entirely on user complaints and areas for improvement. There isn't any positive feedback about the application in the current context.
Right. Thank you. I'll get back to you soon.
You're welcome. Feel free to reach out anytime if you have more questions.
Right. So what you just saw here might look like yet another voice agent, but the fundamental difference is that what we're going to see, the system design and how it's built, how it's being built. The delay is not necessarily particularly with the retrieval per se, because now Retrieval is just one layer of it, right? There's this whole network latency of my speech to text, and that being in a session and then hitting a model that is being hosted somewhere else, doing the whole retrieving that information and then turning it back to speech and then like relaying that information back. So the entire hop is approximately like 300 to 400 milliseconds, I think, but the retrieval in itself is really, really fast. So that's crucial, particularly when you're having these kind of like live phone conversations, and then your customer wants some information immediately, and you're able to instantly retrieve this information and give it to them. Again, that's also trust, right? Like you're not delaying it, you're not waiting like multiple seconds to get that, and you're able to instantly get this information, and you're helping your customers' complaints.
Okay.
Do you want me to like screen share and then walk through, or like how does this work?
Yeah, like I think talking about or to the architecture, right? Like if you have some diagrams and kind of like to show everyone how you broke up the different components and really kind of illustrate like where like kind of the latency kind of builds up over all the different components.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen.
And while you're doing that, like one question I have is, because you have all these different components and you're also trying to show the value of MOS, but because it's part of this more complex kind of collection of stuff, how do you like focus on the value of the client's product and kind of like push away kind of the lag that exists from interacting with other systems?
MOS in particular is like a very niche and a layer that's hidden really deep into the mix, right? It's not, you don't see that at a surface level. So it's really, so if you look at this system design that you're looking at, right? Like the voice agent that you see is a simple web app deployed on Vercel, but underneath you have the entire voice runtime and this voice agent built by MOS that's deployed on a MOS platform. But that's, so the ways that we can surface is by like being transparent, right? That's something that I learned over the years, is being transparent about the value prop, right? In this case, we have like it was there in one of my websites in Voice Agents as well, where I exactly show you the different time it takes. I'm breaking down the entire voice layer into STT, LLM, TTS, and the retrieval layer as well. And you're showing the benchmarking for the different types of, so how much does it take for the STT, how much does it take for the LLM to come back, the network latency there, and how much does it take. So you kind of like break it down and then show that. And there is also another angle, right? The other angle is your product cannot like live on its own, right? It's always, if you see any product that you build, a database or a container orchestration or a semantic search, it has to be part of a bigger puzzle, right? Showing this, how MOS is also part of this bigger puzzle. Like if you see there is a cloud provisioned virtual machine running, there is a Neon Postgres database running, but also showcasing how MOS can be part of this ecosystem and still provide value is, I think, another way to think about the value prop and showing value to your client. So that's how I would think about it. Like the direct value, which is the retrieval, and kind of like the indirect value, which is how does this MOS fits in a bigger picture. And I think that is a better play per se, particularly for enterprise clients. Enterprise clients they'll know that your product is doing something, but they'll also want to know how good your product can be easily integrated into their existing system, because that's crucial as well. Like nobody wants to spend more time trying to integrate your product into theirs. Why would they, right? Everybody's busy. as well. It's like how simple and easy it is to integrate, and that's showing that kind of value also adds to this, to the whole mix. So I'll show you. Maybe we'll come from the repo itself. It's clearly explained on how you can set things up, right? And then there are three. So it's like for two different audiences, right? For the developer audience who want to use like OpenClaw and integrate MOS extension, we have like a OpenClaw MOS extension built in, so you can easily integrate that into your mix and use your OpenClaw agents to, whatever your endpoint is, like either you're querying it through WhatsApp or Telegram or Slack, that doesn't matter, but it's as long as you're able to retrieve this information fast and easily, and that's something. And then you have this whole enterprise angle of the Slack interface where you're dropping this information and seeing how that plays in the bigger picture. So that's the second one. And then you have like the voice agent itself. So how we built the voice agent. In this case, MOS supplies with MOS agent voice SDK, AI SDK. It's like a wrapper around LiveKit where they take care of the entire deployment of the voice agent, where you don't have to worry about the speech to text in using different providers like DeepGram or Cartesia or LiveKit and have 10 different environment variables configured. So that is also something to consider as well. Do you want to go a path where you want to have the more integrations and the more provider dependency that you have, the trickier it is going to be, because you're opening the attack surface, right? Like, let's say there is a MOS managed voice agent SDK, but then you have, instead of that, if you go through the other path of LiveKit and all the other configurations, then you're bringing in 4 different providers, DeepGram, Cartesia. But then I realized, okay, when MOS has this, why don't I just use that and let the voice agent be deployed by MOS, and I don't care about it. All I care about is what data, what corpus do I put into it? How do I build this OpenClaw in a secured way that I'm able to build and retrieve information? So that's another angle. I know, does that kind of help you with how I'm building and how I'm thinking?
Yeah. No, that gives me some. I feel like it gives me some deep insight into your the way you're technically kind of, how you're framing everything before you assemble. So I'm trying to paraphrase everything you just said, right? Which my takeaway was look at the value prop of the company, in this case MOS, what their clients need to see, and also what their clients' kind of pain points are. They need to know that this piece of technology will fit with all the other components. And when giving a presentation to developers, you want to minimize the number of things that they have to touch so that they can get right to that particular piece of value to be able to judge if this particular service or this particular product is of value to them. Did I summarize that? Okay.
Yeah, I think you summarized it perfectly. I think that's because there's a lot of things happening, right? And I was also thinking about it while I'm speaking, and I think you pretty much summed it up clearly. It all boils down to the first thing that I ever said, right? Like, who's your target audience and why are we building this demo?
Okay, nice. And you had mentioned there being a kind of a second path to interfacing with this agent. What was that second path?
Yeah, so the first path is what you saw in the as the voice agent, right? Imagine you're this company, right? You're Outlay company and you're the engineering team, you're the researchers, you're in the back end chatting, and then let's say, Jason, you and I are part of that team and we are having a call with customer, someone we sat on the call and they're a very unhappy customer, they don't like it, but then we want to make sure that this, as customer research, customer success team, right? We want to make sure that this piece of information is correctly captured and immediately, is part of the whole database that anyone who wants to understand about a particular customer can easily consume this knowledge and work towards making that experience better for them. So we built this Slack interface. I'm gonna stop sharing and maybe share my Slack. So this is a Slack bot interface, but in the back end it is an OpenClaw agent runtime running on a cloud environment with Moz and Postgres database integration. Would you see that information, right? Like I'm getting more information. So this is like the backend side of things, and this is a surface that when you're talking. When you're thinking about demos, this is something that you also need to consider, which is you're not exposing an entire OpenClaw interface to the whole world now. So you kind of like isolated the web interface as a separate read-only environment where people can just like, you have the URL, but the world where we share the URL, they don't have any access to OpenClaw or this write access, because this has write access. So it can like write on that index and upsert information and stuff, but the voice interface that you had and the public facing interface doesn't have that. It's only read only. So these kind of like micro tweaks is important when you
okay, so this is great. So this gives more information than the voice agent does, and also kind of replicates what like teams that are using cross communications channels might make use of.
Let's see if I let me drop some new information in it and see if it's able to index it, right?
So that's great. So as employees or staff kind of learn new things or pull, they can just dump files directly into Slack, and that will get processed by the agent and included in the indexing.
Yeah. If my cursor opens, so I'm basically just gonna copy some information right now and just dump it here and say, that Mosaic, can you read and index this info for me? Outly research, and then I drop it, and it should hopefully index it. It's actually automatically indexed, but we can check if that's indeed the case. So let me stop sharing. Right, so this is the latest information that we dropped in right now. That's automatically you dropped it on Slack, right? It was sent to OpenClaw. OpenClaw had the Moz index extension, so it understood that, and then it connected to the indexing, and this is now automatically up to date. So imagine, so instantly it's here. And then if you query this information, you're going to get it back because it's already here as part of the research, right? So, and that's the second attack surface that I was talking about. That's the second path of the Slack, and now that's just working. And then the third angle is also the I'm not sharing, so let me share the NeonDB as well, because every conversations I'm making sure, like any voice conversations that we are having from the read-only web interface is also recorded and kept here in a NeonDB database. So let's refresh this, making sure we have a really good use case where like the Moz team can reach out to NeonDB and say, folks, here's an example of how our solution and your solution work together, and it's a win-win for them. So Neon can use this project as well to showcase their aspect with branching and serverless Postgres, and Moz can do it with the runtime search. So it's about taking a step back and trying to connect the dots and playing this game, and I like this. So that's
oh, that's great. Yes, cool. I mean, thank you for that. Like both of your demos actually went, I thought, without any notable hiccups that at least anything that I could see. So, if, what tips and tricks do you have for folks who are giving demos like this, and may encounter a problem? Like, how do you prepare for, something to go south?
Yeah, that's a good question. I love giving demos, and there are like some really complicated demos that I've done live, like building a whole Uber clone and then requesting a ride and doing this on stage and like in real time as well. And that involved like Kafka and microservices and all that. But the crux is this, right? Like, if it has to go wrong, it will go wrong irrespective of, but we shouldn't be thinking about that. We should always approach this. So I was working with this Air Force Canadian pilot, and I like the story because I was working in flight simulations, and we were trying to like work with our clients to get this signed off and stuff like that, and stopped working. And I was frustrated. I was like trying to fix things. And this Canadian test pilot, he was an Air Force pilot, but he was a test pilot to work on the simulations. And he was like 65-year-old retired guy, chilling. And he's like, Abhi, why are you tensed? And I'm like, no, this is not working. No, he said, during some war, and both his engines failed, and he had to eject out of the plane in like 10 seconds. And then he parachuted out. And his family flashed in front of his eyes. And he said, that is stressful. Right? When you've seen that, everything. So every time when I'm in a really stressful situation, I go back to that scenario and say, is someone going to die because of this? No. Then everything else can be sorted, right? Nobody's putting a gun on my head and saying, I have to do something. It's a demo. If it works, it works. So that's something like we need from a mindset angle, I think we need to do. From a preparation standpoint, right? I always try to like containerize it and make sure that it's working in a repeatable fashion. And that's very important, right? Like if you just run some scripts on your local laptops and just let it run, it will go wrong. Maybe there's like a package update that happens and things are gonna, so maybe something will happen, right? Like, but if you contain it in a repeatable environment, maybe in a container, and you exactly know that it's working. And that's step one. So I'll always try to do that. You don't do that in the beginning, but you first kind of like, need to get your rhythm into it and setting up the whole stage. And then once you're very sure and you've done this multiple times, try to containerize this or run it in a remote environment or sandboxed environment where you know for a fact that you can just spin it up and spin it down and it's going to work. And that's always helped. And whenever I started doing that, I've never seen anything fail when I'm doing a live demo. The other, I think maybe something that I would suggest is don't try to do too many things, right? In this case, there is a multiple steps that is happening, and you don't have to. You can show a value like really through even a simple demo. And that's like when you're especially giving at conferences, you don't have to show an enterprise demo. These enterprise demos is for a different audience in a different setting, right? You don't have to do everything to it. It's about how do you tell that story, and does it resonate with people? And even simple is good, right? Simple is perfect, and just to make sure that do it in a repeatable fashion. Yeah. So
nice. Those are all great tips. Yes, that. I like that story from that Air Force guy. That's very good perspective.
Yeah. So it's obviously we're all having fun here, right? We're all builders trying to have fun. There is we're not out there fighting war. So I think it's pretty chill. So
if you want to pull it down and give it a go to this GitHub repo. If you want to learn more about Moss in general, you can go to their website at moss.dev. And of course, if you are looking for someone to help you build an impressive enterprise-grade demo, then of course you need to go talk to Abhi. This is his website. You can go check him out there. What other DevRel do you know of that you're very impressed with and would love to see an interview of? Who would you recommend?
I maybe I'm a bit biased as well. I used to work with someone called Narsima Badrinath. He's now a staff developer advocate at DigitalOcean, and he's built this. Yesterday, he actually shared it with me. He's built this whole Siri for Mac. He goes by Narsi, and I can connect you both as well, and maybe he can show you a much cooler demo of voice AI agents.
Oh, I thought your demo was super cool. Okay, so your ex-colleague, your friend's better Siri, because didn't Apple just announce that they also have a new Siri? I think just at WWDC, just yesterday, day before.
Yeah, he did. But he's been like working with this for a while now, and this is the thing in current world, right? Like everything that you build is going to be a feature update by some big company, like either a foundational model or these large scale cloud companies, or like the Apples of the world or Metas of the world are going to launch it. But the learnings you would have got and the configurability of things, so he's able to now like deploy it as a iOS app, and so you learn a lot, right? Like at the and it's still yours, right? Like you, maybe it's not for the world, but it's something that it's useful for you. That's also a good story to tell. That's also a good demo to say.
I'm definitely guilty of creating lots of projects and getting it to like an initial working position, and then next shiny object, right? Instead of like diving
but I'm super
deeper
amazed about like the video quality that you do, and the way that you are deconstructing it in your very interactive video format.
Thank you.
That's a skill that I definitely like to learn from you, and looking forward to how you take Fractional DevRel and this series, and looking forward to learning with all the folks that you're going to interact with.
Cool. All right, thank you, Abhi. Yeah, that was a very gracious exit. So I can't top that. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Abhi, again. Looking forward to the next project you do, and also catching up with you later. All right, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Cheers.